Szanowni Państwo, serdecznie witamy na konferencji Państwowej Komisji Wyborczej na temat drugiej frekwencji. Bardzo proszę o zabranie głosu przewodniczącego.
I would like to hand over to President of the Commission. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. In line with the provisions of the Electoral Code, I shall now read out the announcement of the National Electoral Commission concerning the number of persons on the lists of voters and the numbers of persons to whom until 5 p.m. on the 25th of October 2015 ballots were handed over in the elections to the Sejm and Senate of the Republic of Poland. First, aggregate information for Poland. National Electoral Commission, based on data obtained via the electronic system from 25,969 precinct electoral commissions out of 25,970 precinct electoral commissions established in permanent constituencies on the territory of Poland, informs that as of 5 p.m. on the 25th of October 2015, 1. Number of persons entitled to vote, i.e. the number of persons on the lists of voters in the precincts from which data was collected, was 30,146,694. Secondly, ballots, including the packages sent, were handed over to 11,748,920 persons, which constitutes 38.97% of the total number of persons eligible to vote. In terms of aggregate information for selected cities, the lowest turnout was registered among larger cities in the city of Sosnowiec, which was 38.43%. The highest turnout was registered in Warsaw, 50.79%. As regards aggregate information for provinces, in comparison with the number of persons eligible to vote, the lowest number of voters participated in the voting in the Opolskie province, which was 32.94%. In comparison with the number of persons eligible to vote, the highest number of voters participated in the voting in the Mazovian province, which was 43.62. In comparison with the number of persons eligible to vote, the lowest turnout was registered in the municipality of Cedynia, Gryfiński Powiat, Western Pomeranian province, 20.75%. In contrast, the highest turnout was registered in the municipality of Podkowa Leśna, Grodziski Powiat, Mazovian province, 59.62%. It's worth emphasizing that in comparison with noon today, when the National Electoral Commission presented the first data concerning turnout, and the turnout was 16.5%, right now it's almost 39%. We see that during the next 5 hours, the turnout grew by 22.5%. In comparison with the first 5 hours of voting, this was a significant increase. To answer your possible question about turnout in the parliamentary elections in 2011, I'd like to say that back then we had different times during which we informed the people about turnout. At 6 p.m., 1 hour later, back then the turnout was 39.65%. Today at 5 p.m. we are more or less at the level of 6 p.m. from 2011. Ladies and gentlemen, if there are any questions, please introduce yourself and the media you represent. The microphones are on the left and the right-hand side of the room. Good evening, Eva Stankiewicz. I represent the Movement of Election Control. I'm also a journalist of TV Republika. I have 4 questions. Please be concise, make questions short and ask them one at a time. Yes, if you allow me to ask them,
chciałabym się zapytać, dlaczego
first of all,
w najbardziej newralgicznych
why
miejscach liczenia
in the
głosów
most sensitive places of counting the votes don't we have returning officers? They are barred from entering such places, and I mean places which are really sensitive, like, for instance, the National Electoral Office, which is managed by Madam Beata Tokaj, who is present here in the room. This is a unit which obtains votes on a central level. Eva, please be concrete, be specific, so that we can allow other people to ask their questions. So let me phrase my question. Why are most sensitive places where results are obtained on a central level, places where votes are counted, places that publish the final results, are barred for returning officers? This is my first question. I'm sorry, I will ask my second question. I'll ask all four of them. Another such place without social control are points where protocols are obtained. There is only random control by returning officers, and this applies only to those commissions who bring their protocols on an aggregate level. There is no control by returning officers. That was my first question. Question number two. Why do you deny us the right to see scans of protocols from precinct electoral commissions online? Why do you refuse to publish scans of protocols, not the protocols which are input to the system? The system is not transparent, is not tight. Why do you refuse to do it? From what I know, OSCE is also surprised by that fact. Our movement met OSCE to discuss that matter. Maybe you will you will change the decision and you will publish the scans of protocols from precinct electoral commissions, the smallest units, online. Eva, please allow us to answer. Afterwards we're going to have so many questions that we will not remember the first one. So please answer my questions. To answer your question about returning officers, I'd like to emphasize that in line with Article 42, Section 4, on the day of voting, returning officers have the right to be in the polling stations during all activities of the electoral commissions based on a statement or a document issued in line with the code. You are actually referring to circumstances that will only occur once the voting has ended. For instance, preparation of protocols specifying the results of voting. Up until now, we obtained no signals about returning officers not participating in the works of precinct electoral commissions. When it comes to this conference, it is only devoted to turnout. We are not going to discuss here any results of the voting. In terms of scans of protocols, once the results are specified by precinct electoral commissions, this topic has been raised on several meetings and in correspondence. As a rule, we can say that technical conditions and organizational issues at the current stage do not allow us to publish all scans of protocols from precinct electoral commissions online at the same time. All data related to results of voting in individual precinct electoral commissions will be made available to each voter, to each citizen, also to the movement of election control. It will also be possible to compare this data with the protocols from precinct electoral commissions, and I hope that the returning officers participated in the works thereof. I'll skip my other two questions and I'll return to my first two questions because they have not been answered. Why are the most sensitive places of counting the votes barred from returning officers? I mean, the National Electoral Office, at the central level they are counting the votes. This question has already been asked, but I didn't get an answer to it. And secondly, why aren't you going to publish scans of protocols from precinct electoral commissions? I don't mean the data.
Więc nie chodzi o
What is
dane
questioned is the
wprowadzone do
process of
komputera,
counting the
ponieważ ten system nie
votes.
jest
I
transparentny.
don't mean the data
Chodzi
that
o
is input to
opublikowanie
the computer. The
skanek z
system is
protokołu
not transparent.
obwodowych
I
komisji
mean
wyborczych.
scans of
Organizacje
protocols from
pozarządowe
precinct electoral
zadeklarowały
commissions.
swoją pomoc techniczną w tej sprawie.
NGOs
Państwo
declared their willingness to provide you with technical assistance and you refused. Two questions. Once again, please answer them. Thank you. Next person. Wojciech Żaliński, Polsat News. I didn't get my answer. A quick question about incidents. Did you get any signals about any major incidents? And a technicality. You mentioned that you have results from 25,969 out of 25,970 commissions. Why is there one missing? As regards this one electoral commission, indeed, the commission in Radzymin did not meet the deadline, the time window for providing us with information. The deadline was 6 p.m. But I think that this problem will not repeat itself after 9 p.m. Any incidents?
Obecną poważniejszych zgłoszeń o
No,
incydentach, które by
as
wpływały
of
na
now, we
przebieg
haven't
wyborów,
had
czy
any major
skutkowały koniecznością
incidents
przedłużania
impacting
ciszy
the
wyborczej.
voting
Można powiedzieć, że
or
incydenty są
resulting
standardowe, jak
in the
przy
necessity to prolong the election silence. We could say that we have
wyborach,
standard
czyli
incidents
kwestia
like during
zniszczeń
all elections.
dotyczących banerów
For instance, the
wyborczych.
destruction of
Odnotowano
banners
w
of
przypadku
candidates,
poruszania się pojazdów, na
or
których
moreover,
znajdowały się
vehicles
plakaty
driving around the
wyborcze, też
city
zaparkowanie
with
pojazdu, również
posters or
skierowanego
banners.
odpowiednią
Such
treścią
vehicles were also
wyborczą.
parked
Pojawiają się
in
również
various
sygnały
places.
o łamaniu ciszy
We had
wyborczej
signals
w internecie,
about breaches
jak
of
również,
election silence online
wrzucanie ulotek do skrzynek
and
pocztowych, czy rozrzucanie ulotek
distributing
w miejscach,
leaflets, putting them to mailboxes,
dostępnych. Zgłoszenia
distributing them in public
dotyczą,
places.
również jedno zgłoszenie dotyczy kwestii nakłaniania
What is more,
głosowania
we had
na
a signal
głosowe.
about
Odnotowano przypadek
people being vigorously encouraged to vote for a certain candidate. Two persons intoxicated were encouraged to vote for a specific candidate against a certain sum of money. One notification concerning a person who was using a forged ID and was attempting to cast the vote as somebody else, using somebody else's identity document. These are not incidents that might impact the process of voting today. That's the information that we obtained up until now from the police headquarters. Next person, Oleg Włóczewski, Polish Press Agency. In reference to what was said, is it possible that the election silence will be prolonged? Is there any decision? Yes, no? Ladies and gentlemen, as regards election silence, as of now, we haven't obtained any resolution from Precinct Electoral Commission with positive opinion of the District Electoral Commission. This is the information as of 6:45 today. I can say that election silence most likely will end at 9 p.m. Just to complement one of the previous questions, I'd like to draw your attention to the following fact. Unlike in the presidential elections or the referendum, no returning officer applied to the National Electoral Commission to participate in our works. I'd also like to draw your attention to the fact that returning officers can participate in the process of obtaining protocols. They can be present when the protocols are received. I mean the process of vote counting. Returning officers take part in all these activities. They have the right to register these activities. We are talking about electoral commissions. You mean the National Electoral Commission? We haven't had any applications of any returning officer, so I don't understand your question. I mean the National Electoral Office, which counts the votes. There is no access access for returning officers as a rule, because you refuse it. How can we talk about refusal if there were no applications to participate in it? It's not the National Electoral Office who does the counting, it's the National Electoral Commission, and the Commission is responsible for that. Thank you very much for your discussion, which is evolving right now. Another question. Rafał Poniatowski, TVN24. I wanted to ask you about the IT system. As I understand, it will be very helpful in counting the votes. We remember what happened a year or so ago. Much happened, and therefore my question, how is the new system doing? Is it prepared? The system, as we see, is doing well. The National Electoral Commission announced the turnout, and the information was based on the data gathered electronically. Practically all precinct electoral commissions sent their information via the system. Therefore, we hope that it will also work at night. If I may, I understand you did test it. Yes, we had 2 rounds of tests in October, on the 8th and the 15th of October. The tests were completed correctly. The IT system is prepared. I think the announcements of the National Electoral Commission concerning the turnout allow us to say that it works okay. Another question? Jarek Kostkowski, TVN Fakty. When will we know the division of mandates? As regards initial preliminary data allowing us to say which committees will participate in the division of mandates. This data is transferred via the IT system, and from the schedule of works of the National Electoral Commission it results that this will be tomorrow, most likely at 6 p.m. at the earliest. On Tuesday we plan to provide you with information about the final division of mandates among committees. One thing that I wanted to add for the clarification, you said that there was no application for access from returning officers. Unfortunately, that is not true. I myself applied for it, and I know that there are at least several people from the Movement of Election Control who applied for such access. The information you provided is untrue. I'd just like to say that we can only invite you. I know nothing of any applications from returning officers that were refused. I mean National Electoral Office as well. If it's a returning officer, yes, it is a returning officer, so the National Electoral Office is open for returning officers, and I understand this is a declaration from the Commission. We're always open. The office and the Commission are always open. During the referendum, returning officers were present at the National Electoral Commission. Do we have any questions? A technicality. When do we meet again? I hope that at 9 I will be able to formally end. So 9:20, as we'll have to wait for the information from district electoral commissions. I hope that I will be able to announce the end of election silence. It's more or less around 130 minutes. 130 minutes left until the end of voting. We will agree on the time of the final conference. Thank you very much for that conference, for that meeting, and I'd like to invite you to meet us again after 9. Thank you very much for your participation.